There we go. Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome back
Hi.
to Provipuff Girls, the Eurasia version. Although I'm technically from the West, but we just merged Europe and Asia together. We're one continent anyway, so we're connected. So, yeah, we're doing like this. And now the light is gone here because the sun just decided to go away. Thank you.
Oh, why
Anyway,
not?
yeah. Perfect timing, right? Yeah. So today we wanted to talk about birth rates and just pr- giving birth in general. Not that we could talk about it because we are two people that never gave birth, but technically we are possible. Like we could. So we
Biologically,
feel entitled to talk about it because we can.
maybe in
Maybe.
the future.
Or
Don't
no.
know.
I mean, but we kind of need help, but still.
Yeah. Also, like I have heard some horror stories before. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I heard too. Like so
Oh,
I heard stories about like actually some women being traumatized because of birth.
mm,
Like stuff can go wrong, and sometimes you're not well prepared. You actually need to prepare well and good for this whole giving birth part, and then you some women actually have a trauma from giving birth because it's so painful and so horrible for them, or this whole experience is maybe too stressful, and then
mm,
yeah, that can happen. I hope it doesn't happen with any Providence member, though I do think that doing it together with God, I think you have that already takes a lot of stress from
mm,
my shoulders or from our shoulders, so you're actually not alone. Because right
yeah.
when we talk about like Adam and Eve, it's always it's always everybody's like talking about Eve, like, oh no, she's the reason why birth is so painful and all. But I mean, I guess the real punishment was rather that she had to do it alone, right, without God. Like there was no
Mm,
support in that one. Because if you're honest to ourselves, birth was like giving birth was never easy. Not before
mm.
and not after Adam and Eve, and it's not. It was probably
Yeah.
even painful before, so it's not. It's not that physical pain was added, but it was like the spiritual load that was added. Like this, you have to do it all alone. And yeah.
Mhm. Oh, I didn't really think about that before. Hmm. It's like I've heard some stories that were cool, okay, like for example, my mom
Mm-hmm.
gave birth to me pretty easily
Oh.
to the point where she almost gave birth to me in the car. It was very close
Ah. Oh, I
because
had a similar situation. It's funny.
yeah, because so basically what happened was that so I was born in summer.
Oh.
So when I was born, the doctor that my mom was seeing regularly, he was in vacation. So during his vacation, so he was like working, he was like running this hospital alone, I think. Like he actually sent her to another hospital
Mm-hmm.
during his vacation, just in case, and then that was the case. So,
Oh.
my dad, like he wasn't very familiar with the location, I guess. So he got lost, and then
Oh no.
I came up pretty fast. I am very like hot-tempered, so I was like, "Get out!" And then I just got out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
You just
really
wanted to
here.
go.
It was kind of funny because so my mom was like in the room, delivery room, and then my dad was like, oh, he was like slightly panicking, and then it was like I was born in like 5:30 a.m.
Wow.
I was like yeah, so it was like very early in the morning
Yeah.
when they were like driving and going to the hospital, yeah. And then my dad was like panicking, so he decided to just like go to a vending machine, get a cup of coffee.
Mm.
So he came back with the coffee, and then boom, I was there, born.
I just went to
Yes,
get a coffee and you just gave birth.
yeah. So it was like I could not wait. Very hot-tempered since
Yeah.
fetus.
It's so cool. Yeah.
So that was nice. I was like, okay, that's very hopeful because like if I ever like
Oh.
give birth, that sounds great. It's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
I think so too.
How,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
So
actually
that sounds
I've been
cool.
similar. Like my
Hmm.
mom gave birth to me quickly, like so fast. I wasn't
Oh.
always born in a car, but hear me out, I was almost born on the toilet.
Oh shoot. That was worse.
That was worse.
Dang
That would have
it.
been worse, but it didn't. They still made it to the to the actual
Ah.
room. So no, she was already in the hospital because they were like she was expecting to have the baby or to have me soon, or actually the day after. But I couldn't wait. I was like, no, you're
Ah.
not gonna sleep tonight. No, hell no. Yeah, and two, that was also pretty quick. So my dad didn't have to drive or anything. He was at home with my sister actually. So yeah,
Ah, that
but
was why.
it's also funny like all the like every time I hear the stories about the dads, like there's like what they would do because they're like you have so many times where you hear that the guy just faints or like is not there,
Oh.
can't stay with the during the birth because they're like super panicky and they don't know what to do in this
Oh.
situation and stuff. So yeah, I
Yeah.
if if they're Providence guys listening and you already had a child and you're dad and you experienced this, please tell us from a male man's perspective. What does it feel like to watch your wife give birth? Is it like I don't know. Is it the adrenaline, the like oh my gosh, I'll have a child or are you like I don't know, panicking because of the pain of the wife or I don't know. I'm just curious what goes
Mm.
through the mind of a man watching both.
Yeah, it's like I mean it's like it was like from TV. So there's this guy and his wife was giving birth to the second child, and then she was actually in danger. So like she was giving birth like naturally, and then like something went wrong. So she was in like emergency operation. So he was panicking
Mm.
for sure. Like like when you see a person like who's just really panicking, like they can't even cry.
Mm.
Like like he looked like that. He was like just really panicking. Also, I mean, I think it's really personal as well, like, because I have heard a couple just talking about having a kid, and then so they have one child, a son, and then the mother was actually saying that sometimes like she would look at the baby and then she's like, where did that come from? Like what happened? Like what? Where did you come from? Like she would kind of feel like this happened out of nowhere, even though she gave birth naturally. Like
Yeah,
she
yeah, yeah.
gave birth naturally. But her husband was like, "Oh my God, it's my son!" Like he was like much more. I don't know. Like he felt much more connected to the baby. I don't know how that's possible.
It's cute.
Um, yeah. So I mean, that's really cute, and like he's a great father, whatever. That one, and then my mom, like she never had morning sickness
Mm.
ever. My dad did.
Your dad had the morning sickness instead of your mom.
Yes.
So
So for me, it was like, okay, um, you're not the main character here. You're not the protagonist here. You cannot be sick. You have to like,
you have
you
to be
gotta
strong.
be, yeah, you gotta be serving your wife. You can't be sick. Like I'm like, why would you? Why, Dad?
But it's
That's
interesting.
me.
I actually
Yeah.
I actually watched a documentary yesterday, and they said that men that are really in love and they're really engaged in this whole process of like their wife being pregnant, they actually start to like their testosterone levels start to sink, they start to lower, and they actually start to have the symptoms their pregnant wives have. Like they really like it's not a joke. They really start to have similar symptoms, and they even start to act more female. Like it's weird, but to like to a certain extent. So I think
Wow.
it's super funny. Also, they said that men that engage more with their children also get a lot softer because they too
Mm.
like have a lower testosterone level than before, and then they're more into this nurturing thing.
Wow.
So interesting, super interesting what our bodies
Yeah.
do and what hormones can do, especially. Just
It's like another very interesting thing, a research article. So I didn't read the paper, but there was a research that was conducted, and then there's a specific smell from babies,
oh my
like a
god.
very specific like baby smell,
Mhm.
and when women smell babies,
Mhm.
women get more aggressive, and men, when they smell babies, they get less aggressive.
Ah. So, I mean, not aggressive, but probably like the women gets more protective. Like,
I think that's the same thing, to be
yeah,
honest.
in a sense.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
interesting.
that's interesting, isn't it?
Oh, but I can totally see
Hmm.
things in my work. Like, I'm a kindergarten teacher, so I see a lot of parents interact with their children, and like their dads that come in and they just like they hug their daughters and sons, and they just kiss them, and they're like, oh my god, my little sweetie, my little heart. Like there's this one dad, he always brings his daughter, and sometimes she has like the most beautiful princess dresses and all that, and he's all in love with his daughter, like super cute.
Mm.
and
Mm.
um and then you have moms that are really like, I'm not saying they love their kids too, of course,
Yeah.
um but they're more stricter and they're a lot more protective. Like
Mm.
sometimes if there was like something going on with the kid during the day, like something happened, something went wrong, or the kid just, I don't know, was a little mean, and we have to tell the parents like, yeah, your kid just hit another kid, right? It's bad, like it's not so cool. And then women, or what I've noticed, like mothers are a lot more defensive for their children.
Mm.
Like when the
Oh.
dad is then like okay, now go apologize, no. And some women are
Mm.
okay, like they also do like just say please, say like say you're sorry and stuff. And but sometimes they're more defensive, and they're like, no, not my kid. Maybe they did something
Oh.
wrong. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I think I can understand it because you're trying to protect your child, and you're in this mother zone. You're just you just
Yeah.
yeah.
We just need more predators. I don't know. Like, because like it was vital back then when there were, tigers out there.
It's true. I mean, think about it. Like when we talk about animals, like the animal kingdom in general, like you don't want to meet mothers.
Oh no.
Like any kind of animals when they have babies, like if it's a female with their calf, or like a female with their pups or whatever, you're like, uh, like
You better run.
these individuals are really aggressive. They're like
Yeah.
super on edge. While yeah, I think it has
Yeah.
just, but also I one funny thing is like when I looked up, like when you look up parent kid relationships, or in like the animal kingdom stuff, it's super interesting, especially like
Mm.
how in many cases, for example, what is it, in some cases the kids or especially the boys, like when they have sons, they will stay with their mother for almost forever. Like, I don't. Do you know like orcas, like killer whales, these black white
Oh,
swimming pandas, basically? They're like,
oh,
they the males will stay with their mom and their whole life forever, like until the mom dies. It's like they will always stay with their mom. It's super interesting
why? Like,
because
really like
women lead.
girls?
No,
Why not? I cannot.
yes, but actually, but it's like this in many cases. Actually, if you look into the wildlife, because I mean, there you have so many guys, on the internet going like, yeah, we're so alpha, blah blah blah, and then they go on about like wolf tribes and stuff, like, right? Like wolf packs. But in all honesty, alpha wolves are 80% of them are female, and B, it's usually just a pet, like a mom and dad leading the pack, and the rest are just their kids. It's just a family.
Oh,
Just a
cute.
family.
Oh,
So
wow. So there's no alpha wolf, like not much of a like this, alpha wolf kind of thing in reality.
uh,
Wow.
yeah, actually, there was like this. There was a book release. I don't know. I forgot the author, but he made a book about the alpha wolf and this whole alpha theory and how the alpha is always like the strongest pack member and this and that. And then, but he only did this research on wolves that were living in captivity. So the pack was also not a natural found pack. It was a pack made of several individuals that were all bought and then put into the same cage, and then they kind of just had to be okay with each other, right? It wasn't naturally formed, so it wasn't a family. It was just all strange individuals, and yeah, in that case, it's just the law of the strongest. Like, sure, that's. I mean,
Oh, wow.
it's just like when you put 12-year-olds in a classroom and you just don't like anyone and
Ah, that
somebody is going to lead, and the others just either follow or just fall out. That's it.
I mean, it's very unnatural,
Yeah,
right?
it's just
Like the
unnatural.
environment itself as well, like, it's very unnatural. So
That's true. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I really like looking into these animals' behaviors. Like,
Mm.
um, there's this monkeys. I think they're rhesus monkeys. I forgot, but they basically have a very interesting ranking system
Mm.
among guys, not among girls. Like girls are like
Mm.
they just kind of form a community
Mm-hmm.
as far as I can tell. I can, well, as far as I can remember. So guys have way more strict ranking
Mm-hmm.
system, and
Yeah.
they would fight to go to the top,
Mm.
and then come down to in like the middle, because female monkeys don't like aggressive males who are on top of the ranking. So
Oh.
they like female monkeys want someone like in the middle of the ranking,
Oh,
not too
that's
weak, not too
interesting.
strong. Like they're like they have great personality. So that's what female monkeys are looking for. So those strong alpha whatever monkeys would be like, yes, I went to the top and I don't need that anymore. And then they would just like climb down the rank at some point to start dating, basically. It's
It's so interesting.
um um I mean, I think in some sense that also happens among humans. Like
Mm.
guys, as far as I can tell, I'm not a guy, so I'm not in that community, so I can't tell for sure. But what I've heard is that like if you're a guy with, stable social status,
Mm-hmm.
or you're confident, whatever, so you don't feel threatened.
Mm.
So you would go back to your home and then you'll be very nice to your family. But if you always feel threatened, if you're feeling like you're you're not superior over anyone, then you're gonna go back home and try to be
Mm.
superior even in a like a violent way. Um, so I think so in that way, a lot of human guys also like even if they top the rank, go they would kind of ease out at
Mm.
home and even be afraid of their wives. Like, you know, like
Yeah.
this is like I guess it's a joke, but also I think it's a form of love as well.
Mm.
Like you don't want to disappoint or fail someone else that you love.
Mm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I think it
Yeah.
kind
I
of
think
makes sense, I
yeah.
guess.
I think it does make sense, especially also what we like talked. Well, what I said before is that when they have children anyway, they probably get
Mm,
more settled.
mm,
And I do believe that humans in general, like the last step of maturity, only comes when you have children.
maybe.
Because like I'm not saying that people without children are not mature, but like I think you just have to take on more responsibility once you have a child, and it's just a lot different. You can't just live on your own and do whatever you want. You just have to consider the child, and so you have to mature even more. So yeah.
Like the
Mm.
sacrifice that you have to make to
Sacrifice.
take care of the human that cannot do anything alone would die after even several hours if you leave them alone. Like that's
Yeah, that's true.
scary. Like yeah.
Yeah.
Also like I don't know, like it's so weird because I think a lot of people actually experience this like weird thing. Like they so basically like having a kid is like a tipping point, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I have met someone like he's also a developer. I think he's in his 40s and he has a young kid. And what he was saying was that like I know that he's been through a lot. Like um he started a business and failed, and I know he went to like the best college in Korea, so like he must have studied a lot. Like all these things. I know that he's been through a lot, tried really hard to build his life. And then he says to me that if I have to go through every single one of those things to meet her, I would do it again, basically. Like
Oh.
he thinks like all these things that he's done until that point, like all these things, like he almost feels like it was to meet his daughter. Like that's basically how he felt, and
Oh.
it's just something I just can't possibly understand.
Mm.
Um, so what I tell my friends who have issues with their parents is that uh normal normal parents have abnormal perspective towards their kids. They are not like their thoughts are just not normal. They're pretty paranoid. They're very delusional. Like my dad thinks I'm like really pretty. Like he like
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like
That's what dads do. Yeah.
I'm like, Dad, you gotta check your eyes. It's just like he's
Yeah, it's
delusional.
cute. Yeah. But I mean,
Yeah.
don't you think like I don't know. I think it's just so cute like
Mm,
to watch men interact with kids. I don't know why.
mm,
I like to see that because it really um I don't know, it just looks right. Especially when it's their dads, and especially if it's like if they're like super loving and super caring for them, and they have like really
mm,
like you said, they have only eyes for the kids. It's so cute.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
But
just
yeah.
I don't know, like I think I mean it's really nice to see because it's like yeah, like kids should be loved
Yeah.
like that. So it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think nowadays many people don't really think about that
Mm.
anymore, especially when it comes to relationships. I mean, many relationships nowadays are not don't pursue the goal of having, of marriage and having kids together, which I think is so sad because like you're just giving away a lot of potential. And sure thing, nowadays I think job and all that comes in the way, but
Mm.
yeah, it's just I think our values need to shift because like even here in Germany, like we talked about it a little bit before,
Mm.
the birth rates in all countries. Like what I just researched, I just googled it actually, the in 10 minutes before we started the meeting. The birth rates in all Western countries or in developed countries are
Mm.
pretty low. Like here in Germany, we have in 2020. This is a study from 2020. We had a birth rate of 2.53 in 2020, and the newest numbers
Oh.
are no one point, sorry,
Oh.
1.53, and now it's 1.46. So
Mm.
1.5 kid per
Mm.
woman.
Yeah.
So it's still slightly growing, but it's like going down a lot.
Yeah. And that's like double of Korean birth rate.
Oh, I heard Korea is like below one, right?
Zero, like last year it was 0.78
Wow.
child per woman.
So not even a whole child per woman. It was.
Yeah, so I was with like two other friends of mine, and then so like there were three of us, and then I was just talking to them, and what I realized is that if I have two kids and they have none, because like both of
Mm-hmm.
them they don't want any
Mm-hmm.
kids, so that's very likely that they're not gonna have kids.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have two kids, that's 0.78, almost 0.78 kids.
Oh wow. Oh yeah. Ooh.
So I mean,
Hmm.
for me, it was kind of weird. Because when I was young, I wanted like five kids. I was stupid.
Why
I
stupid?
didn't realize that I actually have to give birth to those five kids. Or even if I don't, I
Hmm.
could adopt or something. If I do that, still, that's a lot of kids. I don't think it's like impossible in a way.
Mm.
I because I actually do think adoption is a
Mm.
option. So it's nice. I'm
Hmm.
open for
Yeah.
that. So um it's possible, but like the reason why I thought I would have five kids was that um when I visited my aunt in America, I was with my cousins,
Mm-hmm.
and my brother. So there were seven kids, and I was in high school, and like
Oh.
I don't know, like it was really fun for me to just
Yeah.
hang out with my cousins, and there were seven of us. So like we had endless games to play because
Oh, that's
that's
so
a
cool.
lot
Yeah,
of
it's
people.
true.
Yeah, so I thought that was really cool.
Hmm.
Um, but I was still even then I thought, okay, seven kids, that's way too much.
Hmm.
Maybe five, like that was why I thought five kids. But oh, I don't know, like still
Yeah.
that's a lot of kids.
I mean,
So I don't think I'm gonna have five kids, to be honest.
I too think that
So
5 kids is a lot,
yeah.
and especially it's a lot of money you need, and like I think with 5 kids, you definitely need someone to stay at home, and then you only have one person to like actually earn the money. But for 5 kids, you kind of need a lot. Well, that's in my head. Probably like I don't want to say that nobody can do it, and there's probably ways to still make it possible. But I do think it's kind of some utopia to think about. And also like
Yeah.
if you think about it, like this too, here in Germany, the average age where a woman gets a child is like 30. So if you think about it, most women can only give birth until they're like 36 to the end they're
Mm.
30. So like let's just pretend like if you want to have 5 kids, you would have to get a child every year after 30. Like if
Oh, that's a lot of work.
it's also
Oh,
fun. Anyway.
easy. Making babies and then just empty the room. There's another tenant coming in. Just like you have to bring.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a lot of work.
Mm.
Also, like I know that my grandma, like my paternal grandma, gave birth to 7 children. One
Mm.
died very young. So only 6 are remaining now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the last kids were twins. I
Ta-da!
think that's convenient.
That's convenient. Then you have 1 year less of work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So you just
yeah.
roommates.
Mm. But my grandmother too. My grandmother had 5 children, and they made it work.
Hmm.
But she was a stay-at-home wife, and it was possible and all. So, um,
Well,
yeah, like
also my grandmother got married when she was like 19,
yeah, but and
which is like
mm, yeah.
baby. So,
Actually, also another thing that I kind of thought about this week, and it's weird to talk about it because like it's a touchy topic, kind of, and right now it would be against law, I think, but it still happens. So what? Let me start. Let me begin at the start. So I found out that one of the mothers in our um, kindergarten gave birth when she was 13, which is in if you
wow.
hear it at first you're like shocked because nowadays
No.
it's like it's weird, like you don't do that. It's but if you think about it, like uh, just go a few 100 years back and that was almost normal, like giving birth at least like with 14. As soon as you're like able to get kids, you basically get kids, right? So
Yeah.
it's not completely unnatural. It's just that today we have a different society and a different thinking about it. But then I did some math and I just thinking about it, right, well, what if you, because if think about it, if you do get a child with 13, right, and it would be a normal thing, so when your children are 13 again, they're almost done with their childhood, right, and maybe also start a family or at least somewhat also give birth. So I mean, do the math. You're like 26 and you're already a grandma, which sounds weird because for us, grandmas are old, but you're completely able to support your child and their child. Like, you're young, you're still capable of doing so much work. Like, you're still young, you can still pursue a career, you can still travel around, have a life, and all. And like, the whole responsibility of having a child and everything is already done. Like, for some reason, I thought maybe it's not that bad after all. Because, like, I know it sounds bad,
Oh,
especially when
man.
you look at it from today's perspective. But, like,
Yeah.
think about it. You're done when you're, like, kind of around 30. You're done with, like, having children and all that stuff. And you're, like, a very young family in general. So you can still support your children. You can support, like, their children already. And you still have enough time to make career, to have, like, a whole life, to still travel. You're not like, right? It's like, I don't think it's too bad. if you
I
think
mean,
about it that way.
my so what happened to my grandmother was that when she was pregnant with her first child, which is my uncle,
Hmm.
her mother and her mother-in-law were both pregnant.
Ooh, yeah. See? It's not that.
So yeah, so her child and her brother and her sister-in-law were all like the same age, basically.
Oh,
So
so funny. Yeah.
that's completely possible.
Mm.
But what happened was that when you're older, when you have a kid, you get less breast milk, is what I heard.
Oh.
So my grandma was basically breastfeeding her sister-in-law as well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I heard of that one too. Like in um also in mid-age times back then where people like
Yes.
it was a common thing to like give birth until until it's not possible anymore and then just have someone else breastfeed the children if it's too hard. Like also that
Mm.
like it's weird to talk about it today, but like I think that that's also like I mean, what strong community do you have
Mm.
to like be able to do that? To be able to say like okay, we as a community, we take so much care about our children, of like all of our
Mm.
children, that it doesn't matter or that doesn't matter. Mothers can also even breastfeed their children, like um which I think is actually I think it's a cool thought. Like
Mm.
I don't know, maybe I'm out fashioned, but like I, I think it's a cool thought to have like such a strong community where that's possible.
I mean, so from what I can see, from my understanding, is
Mm.
that well, they didn't have formula, right? So
Oh,
they had to, like someone had to feed the baby or
yeah.
the baby's gonna die. So it's like you kind of don't have any choice. But luckily,
Mm.
my grandma had no problem breastfeeding
Yeah.
two kids. So yeah, so great. Both of them are very alive today.
Yeah.
So that's very nice.
Yeah.
Um
And I mean, there are
yeah.
statistics saying that the formula, even though it's a lot better today, it's still not the same as
Mm.
breastfeeding generally. I mean, I
Mm.
don't want to say that it's bad to bottle feed your children because there's a whole debate. You know, some women
Mm.
can't breastfeed at all, and that's totally
Oh
fine. So
yeah.
it's totally fine to use formula and to just bottle feed the kids. But still, it's like I guess it's a little bit better.
It's free.
It's free.
So
It's free and
yes,
nice.
because so very interesting thing happened to me. So I basically refused to like breastfeed
Oh,
when I was like a month old. So my mom had to feed me formula.
oh, that's interesting.
Interesting choice. But I am very proud of my immune system. Like I'm like skinny, so like a lot of people think I'm gonna be very weak. I am kind of, but sometimes I just like physically like I wouldn't say I can like lift a lot of weight or something, but I don't know, like I can see that I can last longer, you know? I can
Yeah,
just squeeze energy out for much like more time
that's
than
cool.
many people somehow.
Oh,
I don't know how, but like that's possible. And then like I don't really get severe cold. I don't even get fever that much. I just
that's
in
good.
general I'm pretty healthy. When I even got COVID, I basically had no symptom at all. I actually got stomachache from the pills that they I got, and then so I just
Mm,
quit eating
yeah,
that. And then after that I was fine. I was completely fine.
yeah.
Um my throat hurt a little bit at first. It felt like I was like singing
Mm-hmm.
5 hours the day before. Like it was okay. It happened before without COVID, and it's like, oh, this is fine, you know. So I am very proud of my immune system. So if there's anyone who feel, I don't know, guilty or bad for not giving birth naturally, whatever, or not being able to breastfeed the kid, like I don't know. My younger brother, my so he was able to be, breastfed for a much longer time. But he has pretty weak immune system, so he's weak.
Yeah, there's no. I don't think that nowadays you can really say that there's really a lot of difference. Like I was breastfed, and I would say like my immune system isn't bad, but it's also not like super good. I get sick a lot, which also could be because I'm working with a lot of kids and they're kind of constantly sick. So, but
That's yeah.
I guess for that kind of environment, my immune system is working kind of okay. But
Managing things.
it works.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
nice.
So.
Yeah, I mean, because like, I don't know, like, when I think of the immune system kind of things as well, it's like, well, that's why we vaccinate the kids,
Yeah.
because,
To.
half of
Yeah.
the kids used to die before 5. That was like normal with natural birth and breastfeeding. Half of the kids were dying. Now we have much more kids all living until they're
That's true.
adults. So
More kids reach actually like their 20 years. So that's true. And I think
yes.
nowadays too, like we have so many, like our medical field, our medicine is just so far that we can, yeah, we can or we can overcome a lot of things, a lot of struggles that were once. I mean, even like just giving birth itself, like was such a dangerous thing
Oh yeah.
before. Like there was like a 50-50 chance that even the wife, like even the mother would just die giving birth. Because, and nowadays we're like, the chances are lower. They're not 0 yet,
Mm.
and that might never be, but it's a lot lower, and it's there's more chances for everyone. So yeah, I really like the times we're living in.
Oh yes. Like
Yeah.
that's okay. So, coming back to the 0.78 birth rate,
Mm-hmm.
um, that's I heard is that unheard of to humanity
True.
outside
I
of
heard that too.
wartime
That Korea is like the lowest, has like the lowest rates
by
in
far.
by far.
So that's
It's interesting. Why?
somehow nice,
Is it nice?
Providence, because Providence members have
We can do the 1% kids, and then we just overflood Korea. Da, da, da.
yes. It's like that's like the Muslims' tactic, right?
Tactic. I don't know if that's their tactics, but it's like I don't know if they're planning it. But yeah, I mean, sure, it works. We can just outnumber them by just giving birth more than anyone else. But again,
Yes.
then we need to start early. Think about it, guys.
Ah, dang it, running out of time.
Running out of time. Nah.
Yeah. But
Our
I
kids still
mean,
have time.
like, oh yeah, yeah. What were you saying?
I think just our kids still have time. We can still educate them at getting birth very soon and then very early and then no.
Well, like, something actually said that I heard.
What?
Something actually so basically this 0.78 birth rate, very impressive number.
Mm-hmm.
So this was achieved by Korean in Korean culture or structure. where there's just way too much pressure and just competition in general.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, I mean, when you hear the competition, even to go to college and everything,
Mm.
it's just insane,
Yeah, it's crazy.
really.
Even what I
Yeah.
hear from here, like from Germany, what's happening in Korea, crazy.
Yeah. So so what happened to me? So this is my experience. I'm not sure about these days, but I got very lucky because when I got into high school, it became illegal to in my region to make kids study after 10 p.m.
Ooh, illegal.
Kind of.
Wow,
So
that's good.
I went to school at 8 a.m. and go back to school at 10 p.m. So that's 14 hours a day.
Wow,
Um, Well, I mean, like, it
that's a
also became
lot.
illegal to make the late hour study
Mhm,
mandatory. So like it was very illegal before that,
mhm,
but as soon as I got into high school, it became illegal to make kids like force kids to study that late. So like after like 4 p.m., like we could go home and whatever. So it was like at least from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. or something.
mhm,
And then after that, there's like 4 hours and like dinner break, whatever.
mhm,
Still like there's like 5 hours. Um, you could study,
mhm.
but before me, it was mandatory first of all,
Mm.
and you were allowed to go home at 11 p.m.
Wow.
So that was like more time. So sleep deprivation is like a thing
Yeah.
for,
Wow.
yeah, it used to be a thing. But it also became illegal to make kids go to school before 9 a.m., I think, after I graduated. So like we are making improvements here and there.
A lot.
But still impressive.
Yeah, it's
So
crazy.
yeah,
It actually sounds
so
so crazy because like here in Germany you have like school until 4 p.m. and that's it. Like it's it's so crazy. Like even like when I heard this whole concept of students actually going to school after school, like to go these like
ah, like
after school
tutoring.
schools
Yeah.
thing, I was like, why would anyone do that? Like I'm so happy. I was so happy when I left like when I could go home after school. I wouldn't even think about this. Oh yeah, let's go study in another school. What? No.
Yeah.
I just I could never understand that sentiment. But I also think it's kind of sad that in Korea, the emphasis on going to college is so high. Like here in Germany, you don't have to go to college. If you can find jobs even without it, and it's fine. You don't make like a fortune, but you can live, and that's okay. That's sometimes all you want to do if you don't want to study it even more. So I think that's totally fine. But like in some countries, I mean, in the US, I guess it's also harder. But I guess Korea, Japan, these countries are just insane when it comes to like studying, education, and all that.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I think this insane pressure. I would say necessarily, I wouldn't necessarily say pressure, but like traditionally, like from like hundreds of years ago, Koreans emphasized education a lot.
Mm.
So it was a very important thing. So I do think education was the force that made Korea grow so fast.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
it's an
I
important thing.
I but also the thing was that when I was studying that hard, right? But when I see my parents' generation, not many people were able to go to college because just they couldn't afford it, or
Mm.
they just had to make more money, whatever it is.
Mm.
So only only a handful of, I wouldn't say handful, but like not that many of the high school graduates went to college.
Mhm.
So if you actually graduate college, it's guaranteed that you get a good job.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So it was, and like Korea was growing so fast. So many countries, so many good, decent companies
Mhm.
were just hiring endlessly. Like they would pay uh the interviewee, like literally, like that's how crazy it was.
Yeah.
And then time has passed, and the parents, when they had kids, they didn't realize that what happened in their generation just didn't apply to their kids' generation.
Mm.
But they forced their kids because I mean, I understand because um the things, the jobs that you could get if you don't get the like college education, whatever, like at that time a lot of those jobs were actually dangerous. Like you could,
Oh.
get injured, like
Mm.
it's just very tiring. It could hurt your health. Like there were a lot of jobs that were actually like that. So I
Mhm.
somewhat understand why the parents were so forceful to educate their kids. I kind of understand. It's just that they didn't realize how the whole society have changed, and when everyone is going to college, you have to do more to differentiate yourself. So you have
Yeah.
these like certificates, licenses, you have to study this and that and that. Like it's just so many tests and competition. And I remember myself in high school, I was so depressed because first of all, I was studying. I didn't want to study, like obviously. And then I would I kind of realized in high school that even though I'm studying this hard, I might not be able to work for that long time if I have kids.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I just kind of read a news article, and then I realized that, oh, that that's like that's something that could happen. I might not be able to use what I've learned. Like it's just, I don't know, like because I wanted to have like 5 kids, I was like, I don't know, like for me it was kind of, I just felt like I have to give up something.
Mhm.
Now I don't think I necessarily have to give up any of that.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, I'm lucky to have my parents that like
Mhm.
they would be very happy to take care of my kids if I ever have one.
Yeah.
Like so I think it would be okay for me, but I can see for a lot of people like it's just really hard
Yeah, it's just so hard
to,
to have
yeah.
kids in this environment, right? Also, I can totally
Yeah.
understand why women that went through all of this, like through college and everything, and you worked so hard to get a job and at all, and then
Mhm.
you have to kind of step down into like basically nullify your degree and then get
Yeah,
kids. It's like wow, you basically just did all this work, all this studying for nothing. Nothing. Like
exactly.
yeah, I can totally see how that's basically killing the mood. It's
Yeah.
yeah, but I think
But
it's even
yeah.
other development countries or developed countries or Western countries.
Yeah.
It's a similar thing. Like
Mm.
the emphasis to get a good job and to be good at business and make your career and have a successful career and all that is the emphasis on that is so high that of course when you're young you try to pursue that, but and well yeah, getting a family and actually having time for that kind of comes in the way almost. And it's actually
Yeah.
sad because I think if our countries or our governments really want to grow, and even for economy, you need higher birth rates, you need workers, you need people.
Yeah.
And if yeah, if the emphasis is wrong, you just can't you can't expect the birth rates to go up right now if you can't um, provide enough security for these families to like to let them know that okay you're going to have a good life even with only one partner
Mm.
at job, or even if the emphasis in general wouldn't be so high. And also if like, because what I also feel like, especially on social media, you feel like
Mm.
being a stay-at-home mom, it
Ah,
almost sometimes feels like they have failed in life. It's like weird actually, because like nobody would go to their mom, like a stay-at-home mom, and be like, "Oh, you're weak. You can't do anything." It's weird because like they manage a whole household. Like that's a lot. And but like presenting it on social media like it's something lower, like it's something not worth achieving, is so killing for this, for the whole deal. Like, right? If you ask kids today, they don't want to be a stay-at-home mom, not because they couldn't do it, but because it feels so wrong. It feels bad. It feels like you're not, or you're doing something against the will of society. And it's
just
important. And I
like,
think especially for women, I do feel like we do want to fit in, or we want to be a good part of this society and to
I
be
mean,
acknowledged by
yeah.
everyone.
Mm.
Mm.
It's just that as a Korean who has been through all that, I went to a like good college. Not like the best maybe, but like it's nice. It's nice college. So I so my thought was that knowing how knowing how painful it was,
Mm.
I don't want my kid to go through that. This is what a lot
Yeah,
of Koreans say.
I can
I
feel
don't
so.
want,
Yeah.
yeah, because I know I would love my child that doesn't exist.
Yes.
I know that I would love my kids, and if I have kids, I would have to watch them suffer
Mm.
what
Yeah.
I have suffered, and I don't want them to go through that. I would not just I wouldn't even make them exist
Yeah, it's
to
true.
start that pain. Like that's like a lot of in a lot of
Mm.
cases that's the logic.
Mm.
I am very thankful because like I'm in Providence, so I'm I don't know, like I feel pretty happy.
Mm-hmm.
Um so I don't feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that being a staying at home mom or staying with dad, like it also requires certain talent and personality, like
Totally.
any other job.
Mm.
I know I can't really do that. I can't become a kindergarten teacher. I don't think that's a good choice, like good occupation choice for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you think about all these things, like I can see myself. Okay, I'm not gonna like that. I'm not gonna be a like government worker. I would hate it. I can see all these things. So I know that like, but also I know that for some people, it's their talent
Mm.
to
Totally.
make the
Yeah.
house and like yeah, they're really good at it. I mean some people even start a business off of it, like
Yeah.
great job. So yeah, so like I think it's a job,
Oh,
like as I
absolutely.
see, like yeah, yeah. It's just that no one pays for that job.
Yeah, it's true.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah,
But yeah, so for me, it's like I really understand why a lot of people don't want to have kids.
yeah,
They don't want to create someone that's gonna suffer. You know,
it's true.
yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
And another thing is that because of this crazy low birth rate, um, people in my generation, we might not get the pension that we paid for, right?
it's true. Yeah, same in Germany. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, like, yeah, when you think about it, like, oh, so if I have kids, would they pay for my pension and then themselves? Like people start to think about all these things. So, like, they're like, oh my God, like, I am putting, I might, I know that, like, I would have kids if I get married because I am in Providence.
yeah. But
Yeah.
that's why I think is and also that's why I love Providence. Again,
Mm.
there's so many reasons for it, but like
Yeah.
there is hope here. And
Hmm.
this whole like everything we talked about today shows so much more why this history or why this is just right and it feels right and it's good and it's do it's just right to do things together with God. And I think
Hmm.
that is the best thing we can take from also from today's talk because I think
Mm.
we should write up that
Oh. Mm.
yeah that let's have hope. Let's do things together with God. And yeah, please, everyone watching, listening, being there on YouTube, please comment your thoughts on everything we talked about. It was a lot. How are
Oh
the
yeah.
birth rates in your country, maybe? And what do you think about this whole topic, giving birth? Do you think it's is
Yeah,
hopeful,
like
or
yeah,
yeah,
children.
can you agree with us, or do you disagree? You can also put that into the comments. And thank you so much all for watching. Bye bye.
Oh.